I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I am great, Pat. You tell everybody about you. This is the gentleman. If he wasn't there, I may not have my master's degree right now because he was so willing to drag me along, slow but sure, to learn about things like linear regression and some really fun things that you talk around the breakfast table, right? Well, first of all, we get going. Tell everybody where you just got home from. That's such a cool story.
Well, I was in Haiti, in the southwest city, small town actually called Jeremy. We have a project there. It's a volunteer project where we put together an alternative university, a private university for students who were displaced as a result of the earthquake of January 2010. So.
So 3 weeks of teaching out there, was it?
Yeah, so the program is broken into 3-week modules to make it easy for the volunteers, most of whom come from the United States, of which I am one. So we go there 3 weeks at a time, at least once every year, to contribute our services to that institution.
Well, that is very nice of you to do that.
Well, thanks.
Interesting trip, I'm sure. But I wanted to have you on today. People are getting antsy. Let's see is the word my mind uses. Really, let's see. Starting the coming 17th deadline.
Yeah.
Can you tell us? On one hand, there's the Republican side of folks that aren't in Congress, that are pundits on CNN. They're saying never happened. We're not. We bring in way more money than we need for our interests and things like that.
Yeah.
They may cost some programs and such. And then there's others that say, hey, this could cause a global financial meltdown. Can you try and walk us through the weeds here?
Well, now obviously this is a pretty serious issue right here, because the main potential problem that we face is not necessarily the ongoing problem where hundreds of federal government employees are furloughed, which is a partial government shutdown right now. The main problem we face right now is the uncertainty as to whether the United States would pay its debts, how much it owes, come the 17th. And as you know, that depends on the extension of the debt ceiling, because still, as of now, in the United States, we are taking in tax revenues less than the government is currently spending, and the gap is in the neighborhood of $1 trillion. So the $1 trillion would have to be financed with borrowed money. And although everybody agrees that we ought to cut down on our spending, it's not quite so easy to reduce your spending by $1 trillion in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I saw an example of a gentleman speaking about for every $3 that the government spends, $1 needs to be cut.
That is correct. That is actually correct. I mean, in 2011 alone, our total revenue was about $2.3 trillion. Now, if you add an additional $1 trillion, that's how much we spent, which is about it's actually close to $3.6 trillion.
Interesting. Now, with Obama speaking and John Boehner, I call him Boehner, speaking, talking, who is, I don't want to put blame, but who is most likely to acquiesce here a little bit, or how can we get is this going to be an 11th hour thing, you think?
It probably would be, which is basically the way that this government has been operating for the past 5 years between the Congress and the White House. And but I do want your listeners, though, to know that cutting spending or raising revenues, those are no longer the issues at stake right now. The issue that is at stake, well, the two issues that are at stake is rolling back on the Affordable Care Act, the so-called Obamacare, as a give to funding the government, part of which is extending the debt ceiling. Those are the issues at stake. Everybody is on board when it comes to reduced spending as well as increasing revenues. Those were already handled back in January. What happened in March, when everybody was talking about the fiscal cliff, was kicking the can down the road. The can being raising the debt ceiling. They have continued to do this on an ad hoc basis as a way, well, Congress has been doing this on an ad hoc basis as a way to get something in return from the White House. What they would want in return from the White House right now, or from the Democrats, is a rollback of some sort on the Affordable Care Act. So that's where we are right now. It's no longer dealing with the current budget gap as much as a rollback on Obamacare, and then using that as a gift to allow the government to be able to continue to finance its deficit spending.
All right, we're talking with Dr. Pat Obey from Purdue University Calumet's Finance Department, and a great teacher. And you can tell, how many classes are you teaching over there now, Pat?
Well, actually, right now I have my plate full. I'm teaching 4 courses right now, 3 of which are graduate level courses in statistics and corporate finance.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and then an undergraduate course in financial markets and institutions.
I'm pretty sure, guys, when I went through the master's program, because that's how I met Dr. Obey.
That's correct.
When the statistics class came along in your journey through, I was taking 2 or 3 classes at a time. When it came to these classes, it was a 1-semester class.
Correct.
Pretty much, you needed to focus on the work for these classes, and it's a great program. I feel like I got a great deal out of it. But worst case scenario, Doctor. Let's say we don't get things happening, and we've obviously had a pretty large pullback.
Yeah.
As you and I know, when there's risk in the market, people like to head to the sidelines.
Correct.
With their money.
Yes.
People that can move the market, much more than you and I and everybody in this whole
True.
county
Yes.
could do.
Yes.
And there was a bit of a bounce back today, I think. At least the last time I checked, it was in the afternoon.
Yes.
What do you? Could this be a worldwide crisis?
Well, it could be. It could be. And by the way, the market today is mixed. The market actually lacks direction right now. It's not. The way to look at it is the fact that the Dow has lost about 1,000 points from its high over the past 5 weeks. That this whole squabble has been brewing in Washington. But there are 2 aspects of responses to give. One is it could be a worldwide catastrophe, by the way, because everybody looks up to the United States to be the leader in the global economy. We are the largest economy. We have a government that is believed to consistently back its bond issue with its full faith and credit. And so if, when the time comes, due to this squabble in Congress, the government is unable to make good that guarantee of full faith and credit, that's going to be an embarrassment to the United States. And I would hope that people would see that big picture as a more compelling argument than the micro issue of Affordable Care Act and giving and taking in the government. We can't afford to have a country of which we're all so proud be the only industrialized economy that would default on its debts, not because we are so poor we can't pay our debt, but because we hate each other so much, politically speaking at least, that we are unable to agree. We're willing to mortgage the integrity of this nation as just so we can get some little bitty political benefits. That's how I think people ought to look at it.
Doctor, can you hold on? I'd like to bring you back for at least a portion of the next segment because I got a couple more questions for you.
Certainly.
I got to get out and play some bills right quick. Can you stick around?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, great. Hold on a second. It's Dr. Pat Obey from Purdue University Calumet sharing his knowledge regarding this